He likely won't be as striking a figure as television icon Chuck Connors striding down Main Street with his Winchester in the classic Western The Rifleman, but troubled presidential son Hunter Biden might become a kind of hero for the right to self-defense if prosecutors decide to charge him with a gun crime related to his possession of a firearm when he admittedly used federally prohibited drugs. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. And you know, the prospect of prosecution for Hunter remains low, but his lawyers aren't taking any chances. And as Elizabeth Nolan Brown reports for a reason, they confront numerous ironies when prepping a defense for the great artiste, Hunter. First, not only has Hunter's big guy, Pop, Joe, claimed credit for writing the Clinton-era federal three strikes law that saw many nonviolent offenders of national drug prohibitions face life in prison for the same kind of drug history to which Hunter has admitted. Joe has embraced a profoundly anti-gun rights mentality most of his political life. Will he still be proud of his son if Hunter becomes a Second Amendment hero? Writes Nolan Brown, quote, "The Department of Justice is investigating a gun purchase he, Hunter, made in 2018. This is a time period during which he has admitted to regularly using crack cocaine. That could put him afoul of the law against drug users having guns." The statute to which Nolan Brown refers is the odious 1968 Gun Control Act, which was the second big federal insult to gun rights after the 1934 Firearms Act. And the key provision that pertains to Hunter is one that strict constructionists, and by the way, Joe Biden openly disdains the idea of strictly reading the U.S. Constitution according to the wording in it and the intent of those who wrote it.
The Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute.
But strict constructionists properly revile both the 1934 Act and the 1968 Gun Control Act that might pertain to Hunter. Likewise, strict constructionists also properly revile the idea that the feds can, without amending the U.S. Constitution, prohibit in any way the sale, possession, or taking of chemicals for psychoactive or other reasons. So this Hunter Biden story has a lot packed into it, kind of like the Hunter Biden laptop did, although the FBI and the New York Times seemed presumptively disinterested in what was packed into that. Quote, "The provision in question, part of the Gun Control Act of 1968, is, frankly, insane, preventing any person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance from buying a gun. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has interpreted this provision to mean that anyone who has used any illegal drug in the past 12 months cannot legally purchase a gun. And the time may be just right for challenging it. This Supreme Court has proved willing to strike down overreaching gun laws. Specifically, the 2022 New York Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin Supreme Court decision has established a precedent that already is seeing jurists begin to look more skeptically at gun prohibitions, such as those which ban, supposedly, people outside of prison from exercising their right to keep and bear arms, a core kind of ban found in the insulting 1968 Gun Control Act. It's been reflected in cases such as September's Federal District Court for Western Texas Pico Division for the United States case of U.S. v. Quiroz, which found in favor of the gun ownership rights of a man who was under indictment for a separate act but not yet tried when he ended up purchasing a firearm. Now, Hunter's situation is similar and offers him the opportunity to become a key mover in challenging the core of the 1968 Gun Control Act that has been used against gun rights for so many decades. The portion of the statute, which would be in Hunter's proverbial crosshairs, also has come to the attention of Politico's Betsy Woodruff Swan, who writes, quote, "When he bought the gun, Biden filled out a federal form on which he allegedly avowed that he was not an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance," Politico reported in 2021. But according to Biden's 2021 memoir, he frequently used crack cocaine at the time. Whoops. But Hunter's conflicting statements, as reflective of his character as they are, well, they have no bearing on whether he had or still has a right to keep and bear arms. As Woodruff Swan writes, quote, "Just ask Judge Patrick Wyrick, a district judge in Oklahoma, who ruled in February that the government could not use the statute to prosecute a defendant who was caught with a gun and had marijuana in his car." In an opinion that relied heavily on Bruin, Wyrick wrote that barring marijuana users from possessing guns is inconsistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. He rejected the government's attempts to defend the statute's constitutionality, including the government's citations of 19th century laws that restricted people from using firearms while drunk. Indeed, simply put, the Constitution and fundamental morals tell anyone willing to pay attention that there aren't supposed to be any such terms as unlawful possession and unlawful transport or transfer of firearms if the weapons were acquired peacefully and aren't being used in crimes against other people or their property. According to the principles embraced by the founders and supported by simple logic, government only can prohibit firearms and weapons possession for people who have been convicted of crime and are in prison. If agents of the state want to claim that someone they've released from prison is too dangerous to be trusted with a gun, then why would they think it wise to release that person from prison in the first place? According to the philosophy undergirding the U.S. and state constitutions, government prohibition and punishment are supposed to be contingent on actual threats and real harm committed against real people. And as obnoxious as Hunter Biden seems to be, and as tawdry are the low points of his life that already have come to light, his legal jeopardy for gun possession while being an admitted drug user is not consistent with the U.S. Constitution or the rationale for government itself. Politico reports on where things stand for the Hunter Biden legal case right now. Quote, "David Weiss, the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump, is leading the probe. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in May that Weiss is capable of making any decisions that he feels are appropriate and that he won't face political pressure. Weiss is widely reported to be examining potential tax crimes related to undeclared income, as well as Hunter Biden's purchase of a handgun in October 2018. How ironic. Guns, federal drug felonies, taxes, all are the kinds of matters Joe Biden has worked vehemently to see folded into more and more federal controls and punishments backed by scathing, egomaniacal Joe Biden rhetoric and bluster. And now his own son could become the proverbial poster child for battling huge facets of the big guy's favorite forms of tyranny. Wow. Thank you so much for watching, one and all. Hey, please visit us at MRCTV.org, MRCTV.org. When you're there, check out the MRC Store and consider donating to the Media Research Center, now in its 36th year, battling the left-wing bias in pop journalism. Also, please find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and you can also check us out on Rumble, where they don't censor us. And yes, our videos are on YouTube, but we love it when people visit us at Rumble and share our videos from there as well. You can also find me on Gab. I'm at Gardner Goldsmith, and on Twitter, I'm at Gard Goldsmith. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.